The challenge is, even though we try to make it really easy to build to build these types of content, is how to come up with ideas for content that's relevant to your business. And this goes beyond just blog post content. It's more interactive and more powerful, personalized content. And so what we did yesterday was we basically went through a few different companies, and now I have a few more minutes, so I probably can do maybe 2 or 3, where we kind of just dive into their business and see how they could leverage something like something like an interactive content piece or an interactive tool, and how it would apply to their business. So is there any industry, maybe any table or that is interested in kind of saying what their business or their industry, and I can kind of see how we can help?
I've got one to start with if anyone needs a bit of a push. So that's all good. Yeah. So we have a client that do it's a professional service. They do implementation of intranets and, huge, big digital transformations for enterprise organizations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And so basically they're taking on-prem systems and they're taking it to the cloud.
Sometimes it's doing that. Sometimes it's updating what they've got. So they work with, I think it's LifeRay is one of the platforms they can introduce. That's probably the biggest one. Okay. So it could be migrating to LifeRay, or it could be optimizing what they're doing with LifeRay. Both there's 3 parts to it. It could be their customer portal side, employee portal. It could be vendors if it's B2B.
Okay. And they're an agency or a professional service company. Yes. They go in and they tell the company, okay, we're going to help you improve the way your company currently operates.
Yep.
And the way they do that digital transformation is by implementing LifeRay, or how do they make the...
Yeah, they could implement LifeRay. So they could implement, let's say it was the employee side, they could implement a brand new intranet via LifeRay. So it would need to be a massive organization. Yeah. But it's being able to pinpoint a sharp pain, I guess, is the challenge.
Okay. And so last question, when they present their transformation that they want to do to the customer, they're telling them you should use LifeRay because it will help your employees. The employee, in what way?
It's employee experience. So it will help their employees more quickly and easily access stuff, HR related or anything like that internally. And it just make a more sort of seamless communication process throughout every employee in the organization.
Okay, cool. So I think I have a good understanding of what you do, what they do in that case. So the first thing I would do is, usually when they're selling into these larger enterprises, the buyer of a lot of these employee engagement software is going to be the HR department. And so it's probably going to be, they might have an HR tech team, or it might be somewhere under the HR umbrella, the people who are actually going to benefit the most from this tool and actually going to be making one of the key buyers in the buying decision process. So what I would do is I would kind of think through, okay, what are the KPIs, the things that those HR people are thinking through, and how can we present this solution, this digital transformation, to those HR people? So the first thing I would think is like, okay, the HR people probably have a score for, they're probably tracking some employee engagement scores. They probably have, similar to a net promoter score for customers, they probably have the internal NPS for their employees. And so what I would do is basically start them out with basically kind of a calculator where you ask the HR person a set of questions around their current employee engagement processes. Okay, and then it's kind of like at the end you show them, it's kind of like an assessment or a score where you're showing them, okay, your current employee engagement processes and systems are about 65th percentile relative to others in your industry, and then you can show them where LifeRay can come in and say, well, okay, you're going to save your employees 2 hours a week on like searching for files. You're going to save them 45 minutes on communication, because now it's going to be faster to tag and store all the information, to search the information, and to communicate. So you basically can have this whole layer of information around the value that's added when it goes into employee workflows employees have. You can have other things in the assessment as well if you want it to be robust, or you can just do like an employee workflow assessment where you look at the exact workflows they have and how that can improve. So that would be one with the assessment side. The second I would do is from a productivity and speed standpoint, I would try to get an estimate on time savings, maybe like a time savings things where you say, well, okay, if you have 10,000 employees and their current system for file sharing or file management or file search is taking this long, then how much time are they wasting on that process? So you basically want to kind of build a use case for this is why you should use LiveRay. This is how it can come in. So those would be a few places I would start specifically for the employee engagement idea. Yeah.
Excellent. That's good.
Yeah.
I've taken them both down. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Who's got a business problem that they'd like to share? Here, we've got a couple over here. Oh, there's one over the back first. You've got the mic already. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is on. Hello. Yeah, I might have talked to you about this yesterday, and you guys got to follow me. This is not like a big company like Russ is saying. Okay, there's two worlds. I have a DJ company and I have an agency.
Okay.
So the reason why I'm asking this company, of course, when I'm in the wedding world, they cannot get this. So now I'm in my digital world. So you guys, you definitely help me. So when I do a wedding show, this basically is the mother lode of all the leads. So me having my DJ business, I will do the wedding show myself. So, I meet people and stuff like that. But at the end of a wedding show, I get the bridal show lead list with the bride's names, their addresses, their phone numbers, their emails, when they get married. So I went about from the agency side, I said, well, let's take the list, put it in Facebook Ads Manager. Let's go after it because I could upload a custom list and we go after it. But I found that wasn't working too much. And I watched a couple of you guys and studied some stuff and pulled back. So in my world too, you got to remember this, florists, venues, all that. So I said, I can go at them and convince them to run Facebook ads or Google ads because I have the list. In the summer, I have a list of almost 1,000 people, 1,000 brides, and in the winter shows, there's a list of almost 1,800 brides. So my question to you real quick is to ask, if you were in my arena and you had that, because notice, I don't need a landing page or a funnel. I've got the list of all the information of all the brides that these people are getting married. So how would you, if you had that list, knowing that in our world, you got to get a landing page, get their emails, I've got it.
Okay.
So how would you market?
So the first question is, when the data is being provided to you, the consent, so it's the consent associated with that data, is there consent in terms of your ability to resell? What consent are they giving when you're getting that list?
Yeah, the brides can consent when they come to the show. Like say this was a show.
You consent to email.
When they register.
They consent. Okay, yeah. So if you have their consent, you can email them.
Yeah.
Now, the question you have is around activation. So you have this email list and now you want to activate it. When you say you want to activate this list, you're trying to sell them what? What are you trying to sell them? So you've already provided your DJ service at the wedding.
Yeah.
Now you have the person's email. You're trying to sell them furniture or like honeymoon.
I'm a DJ. I have a DJ.
I know, but you're trying to sell. You have the list, right? Yeah. Now you're trying to go to like a furniture company, or who are you trying to leverage the list? Or you have it before they did the wedding, and now you want them to hire you for the DJ. Like,
no,
what's the
two
use
things.
case?
I can go with the brides myself as KJ Entertainment, me the DJ. But then I said, why can't I go at the vendors? To go with the vendors of the show, because remember the vendors at the show too, because they said, well, we have all the brides that come in. So I can go after the vendors. I've talked to the vendors, said, listen, I have the list. Because some of the vendors are like, man, we do the shows, KJ, but we never follow up. So let me help you as a vendor.
Okay, can you give me an example? A vendor would be like a florist that's
florist,
okay,
venue, a makeup girl.
And so you want to basically go to the florist and tell them, I will get you this project, get you this wedding.
I would say no. I will. Here's the thing. Remember, the florist is there to get in front of everybody physically. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if I had a chance to go in front of the vendors, I'm saying, guys, after the show, I have the data of all the brides. So let me let you get in front of the brides virtually from the digital marketing standpoint. That's what I'm saying. Because remember, I have the list from this show, say the Alabama show, like that.
Okay. So you're saying, how do I get in front of these people?
Oh, I mean, I'm in front of them.
Yeah, but how do you?
What better way would I advertise? Would you go Facebook ads? Would you go Google ads?
So the first thing is, if you have their email list, you have the consent to email them.
Yeah.
So you can have an email campaign. So that would be one idea. The second is, as you said, the Facebook list. You do the Facebook list and you do a custom lookalike audience. Yeah. Depending on the size of the list, you can upload the list directly to Facebook, and then target that way, or you can do a lookalike audience. So you upload the list and then say, I want people who look like this, and they can find the criteria. So if it's like, woman, if you have a list of brides, and it's going to end up being, women who are getting married probably between the age of 25 and 45 or whatever, that's probably what it's going to come out to be. And they're going to have some certain benchmarks where Facebook's smart enough to kind of figure that out. And so then you can target that through ads. The key thing is also the when you're doing the ad targeting or the email marketing is to understand what messaging you're actually writing in the email. So you're emailing a bride. What are you trying to sell this? What service are you selling to them? And how you can convince them that your service is right for them. So that's the second part. So the first part, you can communicate with them on social or on email. But then the question is how do you, what's the messaging that you're actually creating, and how do you excite them to move ahead with the purchase? So it becomes more of an email marketing and an ad play of like what creative to use.
Yeah, well, I've got that. I was just wondering what tool would be better, because I started with remember, there's two things, not me. When I would work the vendors, I said Facebook ads was too much for them because the ad spend was too much for a vendor. That seemed to be just, okay, so I'll pull back. But remember, I got the data list, so I got to market this thing to all the vendors. So if you don't do Facebook ads because the ad spend was starting to be too high, the average ad spend had to be $600 for me to get the frequency out of it.
So let me just give an example, because there's so many different use cases. Each vendor is different, and they're selling something else. So that's why it's going to be different. But let's just take one example, like a florist. Okay, so the florist is like, okay, I'm going to try to sell. Let's assume it's before you get the email before the wedding happened, and you know that the wedding's going to happen, let's say in 2 months, and they're going to be picking florists. I don't know, what is it, 6 weeks before the wedding, depending on how far they want to plan ahead. So then I would basically send an email being like, oh, planning, choosing a florist for your wedding, ? And then you can put some information on there, or maybe basically saying, okay, we can help you figure out which flowers to use, or which, for the wedding. And so you ask them, is there a theme of the wedding? Is there, what types of things do you like? And then you can show them a few common flower or bouquets or designs, or, I'm not an expert in this area, but I'm just guessing. And then you can ask a set of questions and then maybe say, okay, these are the flower designs that we would recommend, and this is how much it costs for each of the options. And then you can buy now and give them a sort of coupon if they buy right away. And so now in the email campaign, you're giving them a kind of funnel to take them from middle of the funnel where you have their email to like the actual purchase where they're actually bought. So I would do something like that. I can also do that on the Facebook side, where you can actually advertise that content piece. So I could do something like that. Yeah, sure. Do we have time for him?
Yeah, just one more. Thank you. Yep.
Hello, how are you? Hey, you can hear me? Hello. Okay.
Oh, now I can hear you. Yeah.
Hey. Hello, I'm Rodrigo. I'm from Uruguay, Latin America, so it's my first time in Atlanta.
Welcome.
Very nice to be here. In my case, I run an IT staffing company. So what we do is we help tech companies to scale their teams with talent, with IT talent from Latin America, let's say developers, designers, all kind of IT talent, okay? So what we do basically is we recruit people all over LATAM, and we have them ready to jump in a new project. So what basically we do is from the, let's say, from the customer side, we are always looking for, let's say, software development companies or product companies that are in need of scale their team with like nearshore developers. The good part is, as we are in Latin America, we are basically in the same time zone as the US, so we can work together remotely. And in the other side, we have to recruit developers to engage them with challenging projects.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And most of the projects you take on, are they project based or time and materials, or like hourly rate? They pay a monthly fee for the developer, or they pay for the project?
No, it's like a full-time assignment for many months. Yes.
Okay, so it's more of like a it's more like payroll.
The idea is for the developer to join a team.
Yeah, perfect. But remotely
remotely.
Cool, awesome. So in this case, the starting and most common content that's created here is, so again, when we look at the buyer, so the buyer in your case is the usually either the CTO, the CIO, in some cases a tech recruitment, someone in IT tech recruitment. So those are the people who are going to be making this decision. And what they're going to be thinking about is, let's say they have a tech team in San Francisco, they're thinking, okay, we need to hire 15 more tech people, right? And so the question is, what's the distribution of people we're going to hire full-time in San Francisco, and what's the distribution? How does it work if we hire people remotely? So what I would do is I would start with certain content pieces about remote work, which now is much easier over the last couple of years, but around running distributed teams, like asking them questions around, is your team optimized for distributed work? So you can ask them a set of questions around their current workflows and systems, around how they manage distributed work. And if they already have like a distributed talent, like they have people in North Carolina and Florida, and then you can say, well, okay, it's so much. You're already working with people from PST and EST time zones, where Uruguay is like around the EST time zone. So you already have the ability to manage distributed teams. Here you can get you need like 4 front end and 5 back end developers. You can get let's say half of them or all of them from Uruguay, and you can see how much you would save on a monthly rate. So if it's $15K a month in San Francisco and it's $5K a month in Uruguay, so you can show them, if you're saving $10K per developer, and so you're times that by your 15 developers, you're going to save $150K a month. And so that's how much you're saving. And then you can show them. So that would be one content piece. Another content piece I would create is around understanding quality of talent and like how to vet people. So that's one thing that comes up a lot when you're doing tech recruitment, is how do I vet talent, especially how do I vet it remotely and make sure they're good. So you can basically guide them through maybe how you guys run your project management systems. So if you have a project management tool, or how you can recommend they communicate, as well as how to vet in terms of English skills, because you want to make sure to show them, okay, they're from Uruguay, but they speak English, or they can at least write English reasonably well, so that you can have that communication. So I would address those concerns.
Yes, in general terms, we use we address the problem of the talent shortage in general terms.
Exactly.
I mean, not only in the US, it's like a global problem.
True.
In our case, our job is to find those talented people, but
Exactly.
in Latam, not only in Uruguay, could be in any other country, Argentina, Paraguay, Colombia, Brazil,
Exactly.
whatever country from Latin America.
Yeah.
So basically, what we can say is something like, okay, we can help you like to bypass this search, or if you can have fast people to scale. And
that's true as well. Yeah, I would another thing that you can show is like when IT recruiters, usually their process for recruiting, it's quite a long cycle.
Yeah.
And so you can say, okay, well, right now it's taking you about 14 weeks to fill a position. If you come to Uruguay, you can fill a position in 2 weeks, and you have the time savings, and we have all these systems in place. So I would show them, if you have basically the number of roles that you're hiring for, and then the time saving, how much time they'd save to actually get these people onboarded and started, and then guide them through some of the, building trust with your systems. Because the first thing they're going to be like with is kind of, how do I trust some person in Paraguay, Uruguay, Colombia? How do I trust that person? And so you say, okay, we have these systems in place. You're vetted. You're doing
our process, our process.
Exactly.
Show them how we do that.
Exactly right.
Okay.
And I think you can show them how it would vary by team size. Like if they get 5 or 10 or 15 people, and then by stack. So if they want like, oh, I want a Ruby guy, or I want a Angular front end, or whatever they might want in terms of coding languages, I would also walk them through that process as well, basically helping them figure out, okay, right now you need 4 Angular and 5 Ruby developers, so that's 9. We can get you up to speed. We can do that if you want to get all of them in Latin America, we can do it all in like 4 weeks or something. They're recruited and then I would show them time savings and dollar savings as well.
Yes, but a recent action that we have done is, like, for example, to expose in our website all the talent pool we have available. Just like if you're looking for something, you can by yourself try to see if there are some profiles that match your needs. So you can see that there are people ready there. I mean, people that we have already evaluated, vetted. So somehow we have this talent around, ready for
that's perfect. Then what I would do is, once you get that data, the upfront data around, okay, your teams are currently distributed. Okay, you want one JavaScript guy and one PHP and one Python, and then you can say, this is how much, this is the rough dollar savings, and here are the profiles for, and then you would show the profiles for the front end, the back end, design, UX, whatever they want. And you can say, here are 3 profiles for each, or 4, or whatever, and then they can choose, and then they can say, none of them I want to see more, and then they can go right to your platform and see all of the options.
Yeah.
So I would do something like that to guide them. But it's definitely an interesting time now because of the growth in remote work and because of the recession, and people are trying to find options, and the shortage of tech. So you have all 3 forces in that direction. So I would try to create content around those 3 forces that are driving a lot of these remote tech recruitment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.